Happy Monday. Well, ooh, that came in a little hot. Happy Monday, one and all. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm here with Eric, Drew, and our Mr. Excitable Ian is here. Ian is running a youth football team. Is that correct, Ian?
Yep,
And
I'm going to be coaching my son's flag football team.
And I was told that you might be getting some feedback from the parents that the plays are a little too complex, or how is that working?
It has not begun yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
that is not going to be the error that I fall into. That's my wife's concern. Was like, these are just little kids. You can't just draw up 100 different complicated things. They'll never be able to do it.
It's a 3-inch 3-ring binder you give all the kids.
And I was like, that's not what I'm going to do.
Go Charlie Strongair and get them wristbands.
Oh, there you go. Every player gets a wristband.
Yeah.
That's great. So, hey, thank you, Ashley. It's good to see you. Ashley's an all-star here. So thank you, Ashley. We appreciate you helping us out. And yes, absolutely. Number one, target on our back. I don't know that we don't ever have a target on our back, but yeah, it's definitely a good place to be. The next Shanahan. There you go. How do you feel about his offense for your offense, Ian?
Well, we are going to build around the sweep. So it's about as close as you can get, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's 5-on-5.
You don't have any fullbacks and tight ends and wide receivers that play like running backs?
God, we need maybe a Mike Allstott.
You're not allowed to block. Wide receivers. You're not allowed to block. Someone's called me a closet longhorn.
How do you feel about that, Ian?
I'm a lifetime Longhorn.
Oh.
I have a degree somewhere.
Did UT boy find out where he went to school before Texas somehow?
Where was that, Ian? Where'd you go to school before Texas?
Well, I did a year in at UTSA.
Okay. Well, hold on. Eric is throwing some shade with that laugh.
Hey, I didn't even go to college, so that's okay. That's I thought he was showing off when he told me.
That's yeah, it's good. So we're coming off of obviously a great weekend. I know that for those of you that have been watching, we've had a lot of coverage. Obviously, we do the post game, we do the show on Sunday. We've got a live in the afternoon that Eric was on. So it's you guys are getting a lot of information. This is coming obviously after a really great win. It was fun. That was a fun weekend. I think it was a surprising weekend. One of those things that you go into the game thinking like, okay, we're going to look for progress. We're going to look for these minor things. And then, what unfortunately happened to Quinn, then it kind of changes how we're watching the game, and I think that made it a fun thing. It was a fun thing to watch. Obviously it's not fun for Quinn, and from all the things that we're hearing, it's on the up and up, and hopefully he's going to be back soon. Have there been any more updates on that, or are we still? It's obviously Sark in his presser today, he's starting to use the NFL terms as that it will be available next week. He is now questionable. He was really leaning into that. Well, have you heard anything else?
Next week they have to start declaring injury status, and you can tell Sark's not a huge fan of that. So he's going to play it as close to the best as possible. He said if we had to declare this week, he'd be questionable. Week to week, it's basically what we've been reporting, what we said on the post-game show proved accurate. That's what everybody ran with the next day.
Yeah.
If it was Georgia walking into Austin this week, he would play. Georgia is not walking into Austin this week.
Okay. All right. That's fair. And I know this is not our thing, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because Sark mentioned it. Blue and I forget who the other player he mentioned. They're on the mend. He seemed very positive about everything. He also seemed like he was in a position right now where exactly what Eric said, we're not playing Georgia this weekend. So that definitely changes the math on a lot of this stuff. 77 players we had on the field. Obviously not at the same time. I think we got a penalty, but we had that many run through. And I think that's a good way. It's a good sign of the health of the program. When you were playing, Drew, what was that hierarchy like? Did you feel like you were getting enough rotation in there from the younger guys and maybe some people on a little bit lower on the depth chart? Or was it just all starters?
Never.
Okay.
I mean, it seems so genius now to me because that's just not how it was at all. I mean, if you were a younger player, you really weren't truly developed until it's like, oh, well, this person's graduated, and now we can give you all the attention to make sure you're ready to go. So, I mean, no problem with the way everything went down. And my career was different because I played different positions every year. So development at one position under one coach just wasn't a thing for me personally. But at the time, these guys are getting reps early, and Sark is intentional about getting them reps early. He only wants to build this roster in a way that where he has guys who can build depth. He's begging guys to step up and provide depth and be competitors and actually add to the room and actually do their assignments consistently so that they can contribute and so that they can compete and so that they can raise the floor. So it's that's not how it was when I was playing.
I remember an interview they were doing with Pete Carroll. It was during your basically when you guys were playing USC, and they were talking about how one of the things that he did was when the recruits came in prior to the signing period, he would play tape of all the new kids coming in, and basically it was like, these are the people that are gunning for your jobs. So he had this whole idea of just constant competition. So it sounds like, and I hate to use this word, but it sounds like once you kind of got ingrained in your role, they really did as much as they could to keep you there. Is that a fair assessment?
No, first of all, on the tapes thing, everybody had great highlight tapes. Like,
sure.
You didn't go to Texas without a great highlight tape. So it's just, you show the tape and it was like, okay, it was great. But there wasn't a real path for replacing someone ahead of you. There just wasn't.
Right.
That's just not how rosters were built. If you just had a gap in your roster or just really, really bad talent, that was one thing. But you weren't about to replace someone who was mediocre. That's just not how it was built at the time. So, yeah, there are a lot of guys who could have probably been developed a little earlier, but you didn't need the depth at the time, and it's just a different world today.
Right. We've got a question here about Arch coming in, and I'm going to throw this over to, I'd love to hear from, all three of you about this, just given obviously the sample size, but what if we were to poke some holes into Arch's game so early in his career? The big plays were big, but what were some of the he's a backup moments? I don't know. For mine, I don't know that I saw many of those.
He had a sack where the guy that hit him was a player that the quarterback has to account for. They brought an extra guy off the edge, and maybe somebody should have given Quinn a heads up or a lookout. Sorry, not Quinn, Arch. That's the whole point. Should have given him a heads up or lookout or something, but Arch seemed a little bit kind of robotic on what he was looking at and didn't see it coming and took that sack. But you don't want to see him take too many sacks like that. And I think he was a little bit slow on a couple of his decisions. He was 9 for 12, so it obviously wasn't too bad. I think it was clear that he wasn't quite as in rhythm as, like, say, Quinn was before he went out.
Fair enough.
You do wonder, though, like, Arch game planned Arch is going to be different. Arch after a few games of reps is going to be different. Arch with first team reps that week is going to be different. So I'm not really doing what they wanted me to do, but you could tell that right now Quinn was in a better place.
Yeah, I think his pre-snap and post-snap read is a little quicker. But to somebody's comment here, it was mentioned that he didn't have time to switch his protections on that blindside blitz. He wanted to, but didn't have time. The play clock was winding down, apparently. So that would take care of that. He's just got it all in abundance. It's just, he does need to get more live reps to speed everything up just a little bit quicker. But he's way more advanced than most quarterbacks his age. He came into Texas way more advanced, and with more reps like he's going to get this week, all week, not just on Saturday, right? He's the number one all week. He's going to be all that much better. So nothing to concern about long-term. It was the UTSA defense. It's going to be funny. Teams are going to have to game plan his legs, and that's going to help open up the passing game in ways that Sark didn't have available to him with Quinn.
Anything that you saw specifically, Drew?
For me, the thing that stands out it's really probably didn't have anything to do with Arch. Arch played a great game. Arch is talented. Arch has, we're all openly stating that Arch has skills and has, I mean, there's things he can do that Quinn can't do. Yet I think Quinn took enough steps this year to where, and we saw those levels, just the way he's moved in the pocket, the way he's seeing the game, the way he's navigating, just running the offense, to where we're not even doubting him. Like, he's elevated enough to where we don't really see them as apples to apples. And that's in spite of Arch having a really, really great game. So kudos to Quinn for the work he's put in, because he could have easily come out and looked the way we've kind of seen him look and not take advantage of the pocket and not have that presence that he's had this year. I think that's been the difference this year. That's just shown us that he's taken that next step, his efficiency and everything else. So as much as, and as great as Arch is, I think the way Arch played was amazing. But the fact that we're all still completely solid with knowing Quinn is the guy, Quinn has this team, and Quinn has taken the steps, and there's things that he literally can do today that Arch is not ready for yet, says a lot about where he is.
That's true, and I agree 100%. But Quinn does have a couple of bad throws where he's in between decision making. Both of them interceptions that we haven't seen that from Arch yet on this very small sample size. We might see that in the next week. Who knows? But Quinn is still in between decision making here and there. Maybe some might want to blame it on the thumb on that interception this past week, but that all happened because he double clutched. He saw Wisner, then wanted to go somewhere else, and then wanted to go to Wisner again, it looked like, and that's when the ball sailed on him. So he's not perfect, but Quinn has definitely improved a lot, and everybody knows it's his team. There's no doubt about it.
To Drew's point, Quinn has always been amazing at throwing on the run, and what he would do at times in previous years, and this year has already done multiple times, is step up in the pocket and then just kind of flick it on the move. When he does like that, I mean, that's pretty unique. Our Arch it's as good as Arch can be in the pocket. It's not going to look like that. The way he plays is pretty unique. I hope we get to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, Quinn became much more of a playmaker this year, instead of facilitator. He's a very talented facilitator. Now we're seeing him move up, extend plays a little bit. And that split second extra time with these fast wide receivers. Isaiah Bond just had the fastest touchdown of the weekend. Any extra time for those guys to get open is going to be it's going to be easy for Quinn to find them.
You know what's funny, Eric? The first practice I went to and saw Quinn and Arch has been moving in the pocket like that. Arch has been stepping up in the pocket like that. Arch would take off and run for first downs 3 or 4 times in practice. That's just because it's there. And the Quinn isn't doing that. And he wasn't doing that. I think Quinn has actually learned to move around the pocket because it's competitive and he's watching how Arch can navigate it. So even to the extent I think Quinn has done it now, it's because he's seen Arch do it time and time again at practice. So that doesn't shock me at all.
Hey, now we got a huge debate on our hands. All right. Ian and Drew, Ian and LC, I'm not sure here.
Oh my gosh. $1 per muffin. So there's two. I love the $2. That's so good. Well, you know what? We're batting 500 as a cast. Those are Hall of Fame numbers. And you know who's a Hall of Fame realtor?
I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
So there was a comment that was made earlier, and I want to go back to it because this is something that you pointed out, Eric. In fact, you pointed it out on, you put it on Twitter, and this was his triple team, and some of this video is starting to make the rounds, especially from the end zone view, which frankly makes it all that much more impressive. Yeah. But I mean, Can you talk about that a little bit? Because you're one of the first guys that clocked that and really made people aware of it.
Yeah, I didn't even catch it live. I asked. I was talking to a source yesterday. Give me an example of some plays that stood out there that blew everybody away, and that was mentioned. I went back and watched it. I remember the exact play. I just didn't remember it was Alfred beating a triple team. So went back, that highlighted it. But yeah, the Texas released the video today from ground level. It makes it all the more impressive. He gets smashed by two, a tackle and a guard, and then the tight end gets on there and just fights his way through the tackle and the tight end. And his quickness to make that play, he was pushed back. He was pushed back a little bit, splits it, and then just fires into the ball carrier. Thing of beauty. Of course, they got the 4th down stop on the very next play when Jahdae Barron blew it up and Taff and Benda gang tackled the running back for a loss. So that was a big play. I think it was around 6 minutes and 15 seconds in the first quarter. If you have the recording and want to go watch it, just Alfred Collins, damn good player.
Live when it happened, I thought that Hill had run through a gap because all I saw was the running back and just get stopped and then go down. And I was like, oh, wow, Hill must have just shot the gap or Benda. And then they're like, Collins on the tackle. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, he gathered himself and exploded. I mean, just very good. This guy called the draft tape, of course. Absolutely, that's going to show up on draft tape.
It's one of those things that I think really starts to sum up some of the reporting that you guys have had up until this point about, because obviously, look, defensive tackles are unicorns, right? Especially getting good ones, great ones, really hard to find and super expensive. And that was a focus this offseason on bringing in defensive tackles. And because they are such a not only desired commodity, but in a deficit in the country, we decided to go for good players at depth, right? And seeing that rotation, allowing somebody like Collins to be fresher when he's going in there is only going to make him stronger. It's really, really good to see your reporting. And frankly, guys, if you want to get more of that reporting, really good opportunity. We're running a special right now. It's if you sign up at InsideTexas.com, use the promo code IT1, you'll get 2 months for $1. That's $1 American. You get 2 months. And it's a good part of the season, guys. You get a really good opportunity to get some of this reporting. So we do hope that you will join us. We've got a super chat here from Dante. It's time to start calling over Trey. Oh, okay. So Colin is getting to the QB. That's in certain circumstances. That's absolutely true. I just don't see Trey making the plays. Whoa, this is slightly controversial, but he paid for it. So let's talk about it. How do we feel about this, Drew?
It's not controversial at all. Sark has said, Colin has even said, he knows he needs to get better at being a complete player. He needs to defend the run. He needs to be more. He knows he can rush the passer. He's specialized right now. So, yes, if you need pressures, of course you want Colin in the game. Colin is great. Colin's talented. Trey is too, make no mistake. But Colin knows he needs to continue to develop as a player. Sark has said it. Colin has said it himself. So,
if there was something in his game, Drew, obviously, what would be because obviously we want to make a complete player out of him, but what would be the next thing that you would really want him to focus on in that progression?
To be honest with you,
you can lie.
No, to be honest with you, there's so much more you see in practice. It's evident in the game that he has not done enough in practice to show that he can get those reps. At the end of the day, it's not that he can't. And we've played a schedule right now where he's gotten reps and had a great opportunity to get in versus a run as well. And he will again this weekend. But if a guy's not playing and he's verbally in the media saying he needs to work on his game on the run, and the coach is verbally saying he's working on the run.
Can I be Ian to the point he's probably going to make?
Sure.
You don't want that young freshman taking on guard tackle counter against the Sooners in a couple weeks. Nope. We've seen a lot of young defensive ends struggle with that. Ovie Ogufo was, he was terrible taking on the run his first year at Texas. Then he actually got better at it. He still couldn't get pressure. So what I said all offseason, Colin Simmons' snap allocation is going to come down to how well he plays the run, not how well he gets after the passer, because we know he can get after the passer. That's the stage we're at right now. It's just like how Anthony Hill had to learn his skills beyond rushing the passer last year, and he'll get there, but it's not there yet. Ian, what do you think? Did I steal your thunder?
No, because OU's no good anymore. So their guard tackle counter isn't scary anymore. I'm hoping that they can get Simmons good enough to where they could actually play Moore and Simmons at the same time against teams that can't make them pay for it, like maybe Oklahoma, or if they played like maybe a more passing oriented team, maybe Ole Miss. I don't know. That'd be pretty sick if they could get them on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
But I will say that people that are seeing Simmons finish more plays, Simmons is getting a lot of the reps when teams are down and they're actually trying to throw the ball to get back in the game. And Moore is not getting those prime feasting pass rush reps. So, I mean, if you look, like, search Trey Moore on Twitter, and you can find some snaps that people have highlighted where he was abusing Michigan, but he didn't get to the quarterback, so nobody knows about it.
Ian, Trey is getting the show the NFL what you're made of reps. Colin is getting the keep the freshman happy reps. He's talented, but there's levels, right? There's guys who are putting things on film to make money. There are guys who are, hey, let's go see what you can do, go have fun. There's two different levels to it, and Colin knows, so he'll keep developing though.
This is a question. Who would you like to have if you could design Simmons as in a comp? Would you rather have a Micah Parsons or a Von Miller?
Will Anderson.
Okay. All right.
What's the difference between Von Miller and Micah Parsons?
I think that's really the. All right. Well, what would you say the difference is?
One's a poultry science major.
Oh, there you go.
From DeSoto, the only one from DeSoto, the only poultry science major in the world from DeSoto.
Only one of its kind.
Yep.
It's a special skill.
I don't think I know the difference, honestly. They're both like Panther quick pass rushers. You move them around, they make people look silly. Will Anderson is the more complete player. That's why Eric.
So I'll say this. I do think he is more like a Von Miller or a Micah Parsons, because I did see Colin. Colin makes a lot of plays, not just behind the line of scrimmage. He makes a lot of plays downfield too. Like, he covers a lot of ground at his position, and I do think those two guys cover more ground than Will Anderson does. Just not just behind the line of scrimmage, but you'll see him making plays outside the hashes, from sideline to sideline, from his position. So he can cover some ground.
So, Drew, you mentioned, and I think it was a really astute way of framing that, the idea that, people are getting reps for money versus reps for development. And if Trey is going after reps for money, where would you improve his game? What kind of attention would you give, or notes would you give him? Is he doing what he needs to be doing?
At the end of the day, these games at the beginning of the season are not the games that are going to make Trey money.
Right.
Michigan is a game that definitely made him money. He showed up when it mattered. He showed up in plays even when he wasn't making the play. But what's showing on the film when nobody's looking at the stat sheet is what Trey has done a bit more consistently than I think people are giving credit. But when we get into some real games, I'm not going to discount who we have ahead of us, but when we get into some real games on the back half of the season, we need Trey Moore. We need someone who's versatile, who can rush the passer, who can defend the run, who can cover from sideline to sideline from his position, be explosive in so many different ways, and just getting defenders off of him and shedding and chasing guys down. So it sounds and looks great, and everybody knows Colin's going to be, regardless of where Trey goes, Colin should go higher. I think we all agree to that. So there's no doubt Colin Simmons is going to make an impact on this season. But as of right now, Trey just has to keep doing what he's doing. But I think once we get some more competition up ahead and back half of the schedule, we'll really see how he's an anchor for us and very versatile in what we're able to do with him.
Another person that is really versatile with your financial needs.
I'm just going to say, guys, you probably need a fiduciary financial advisor. And I've got the guy for you. His name is David McClellan with Forum Financial. He works broadly and deeply with his clients as a financial life coach. And he should know something about coaching because he won several national championships as a swimmer for the University of Texas. He specializes in financial planning and has contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. So contact David today to be your fiduciary financial planner and schedule a 1-hour consultation to assess your financial situations. The free consultation is available, so just give him a call. The number is 312-933-8823. That's 312-933-8823. His email is also in the description below.
So David Keith Williams bring up this point, and this is something I wanted to talk about a little bit, is this idea. So Texas can mitigate playing only 3 top 25 teams by beating every team by 40 points or more. And the reason I want to bring this up is because it's something that Sark brought up in the press conference today, and that's the idea of rankings. And I think for a program like Texas that is striving and frankly should be competitive every year in the league, whatever league they're playing in, I can see that point of view. I think if you're a middle of the table team that isn't always there, but maybe has a good off year every now and again, a good year every now and again, then yeah, rankings may matter. To Notre Dame, it really matters. Notre Dame needs style points. Notre Dame is probably the only team in the country that needs style points. They're not in a league. They have to get this stuff done. They have to make sure that people see that they are a good team. Otherwise, they're going to really struggle to get in. But what are your thoughts on this? Because we look at the strength of schedule. Obviously, we knew at the beginning of the year that this wasn't going to be the toughest. Certainly, our Ian's cousin north of the Red River, they have a much more difficult schedule. But how do you feel about this? Does this even matter? These rankings and who it is that we're playing? Because I feel like now it's just you got to win the league.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything to mitigate. They kind of control their own destiny right now, just because if they keep winning, they're going to play in the SEC championship. Their SEC champion is going to go number 1, probably over the Big Ten, unless Ohio State beats undefeated Oregon. I guess they'll have Oregon at home, or they go to Eugene. Anyway, I think the SEC champion is going to finish ahead of the Big Ten champion. So the season to me is all about staying focused, not getting complacent, playing your depth, keeping everybody healthy. And just playing to your level every week, regardless of who the competition is. All you can do is play who's ahead of you. But, Texas, they got Georgia at home. If they keep winning, they'll have the SEC championship. It'll be against maybe Georgia again. Could be Missouri. Could be Alabama. Nobody's talking about Alabama right now. But
Isn't that crazy?
They kind of control their own destiny right now.
It's such a valid point, Eric. The fact that nobody is really talking about Alabama right now is insane to me.
Yeah, they look good.
And not only I think it's just really a further example, David, of like a lot of this is just like, look, we gotta put some eyeballs on some screens. So we have to sell some concepts and some ideas so people will watch. But I ultimately don't think these rankings matter. I want to go over to Justin.
I do. I have one comment on that though, if you don't mind.
No, I personally have no problem with it. You guys, you good, Ian? You got it right? Okay, yeah, Ian and Eric are fine. Whenever you want, Drew.
Let's call a quorum.
No, so the thing I realize with this whole dialogue with the rankings, it matters from the standpoint of what people like Michael Taft want to achieve. Michael Taft mentioned today about being legendary. And that is a different level of, it's one thing to block out the noise. It's one thing to do those things, just to be focused from week to week to week. But Michael Taft wants to be legendary. The team is focused on a different level. And for me, as I got to be a part of a team, a roster, a time in Texas that was legendary. People still talk about a game I played in 20 years ago. People still talk about plays. People still play and say that it's the best game they've ever seen, or the best, like people from all over the world, people who, they still talk about that game, no matter where they played, no matter where they went to school around the country. when Michael Taft talks about being legendary, that's exactly what triggers for me when you say winning by 40 plus points, you can't win by 40 plus points unless you're playing great defense too. So both sides of the ball have to be elite. Those guys are focused on being elite every single day they go out. So while I don't think the rankings matter and the style points matter, I think the mentality is what matters from a player perspective on how you want to show up, how you're approaching the game. And I can tell you, the guys I played with, we didn't have being legendary in mind. That wasn't a goal. It was, hey, we're going to go out here, have fun, and win games. We looked up and it was legendary. But these guys they have their eyes set on it, and you can tell they're locked in on it. It's just different. I think they are capable of actually doing it and blowing teams out. Whereas I think we had multiple games where we sleptwalk and had to come back in the second half, or we were on the edge. So it is good that these guys are really focused, far more focused than we ever were.
I think you bring up a really good point too. I got a text the other day from someone I haven't talked to in maybe 10 years, and they were literally talking about the 2005, 2006 Rose Bowls, right? And he's like, I'm having a hard. We're reaching a certain age. He's like, I'm having a hard time remembering some of those things. But the truth of the matter is that's a touch point for him, right? The stories of these things, the narrative is equally as important as the acts themselves, right? Or else, how else do they live in posterity? So I think it's a great way of framing that, Drew. And I want to thank both Eric and Ian for giving you the opportunity to say that, because honestly, it was real touch and go there for a minute. Let's go with Justin Wales here. He's got a question, and this is more to do with now, I love this question because this is a Texas fan question. What are we doing wrong? Things are going so well. What's not going great? So he gives some specifics here. Obviously, I think red zone has improved. He was talking about crossing routes not necessarily being great last year. If you had to pick one thing or anything, Ian, what would you point to as, oh my God, the sky is falling?
Wow. I've been looking at this question for a minute, and I don't have a great answer yet.
The problem is they haven't really been tested yet.
Okay.
So we're not really sure. It could be very well that the running game is something that they'll struggle with, particularly against a team like Georgia. But we don't really know that yet. Yeah,
that could be. They could probably just pass their way out of the problem anyway, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. There's that option as well.
I don't know that crossing routes, and I'm going to write an article for tomorrow on how Texas is majoring much more in single high this year. There are different weak spots and different things you have to master to play single high well. I don't think they've mastered all of those things yet. I noticed a crossing pattern mesh play that UTSA ran where Texas let a guy run free, but they got good pressure on the quarterback and he couldn't make anything of it. But they didn't trade everything off perfectly all the time. So that's still a weakness. Punting isn't Dixon levels. That's not going to get fixed. Michael Dixon isn't walking through that door.
Well, I do love that their metric is the highest.
Really?
You're right. You're right. It's not the greatest it's ever been. That's a fair assessment. What I think I have the answer to this one, but
yeah, it's not. It
hasn't been. No.
Yes.
No. Okay, good. Oh, contrarian. Here we go.
You know, I say yes.
Yeah, you can say yes.
As a DB, we used to play Rice. Rice, and Rice had players. I mean, Rice had a 2-time Biletnikoff player, Jared Dillard.
Yeah.
We could blow them out, but JD still did enough against Texas. I do think you can still assess the way our DBs play regardless of who the competition is. Are they in control? Are they assignment sound? Are they being physical? Are they getting off blocks? Are they playing the run? Are they playing? These guys are playing. I kind of said it earlier when I was talking about Michael Taft. In order for us to win multiple games by 30 or 40 plus points, it's not just the offense that has to score. Our defense has to be salty. And I really believe this defense is salty. Yeah. And where the scheme or something else may falter here or there, there's enough talent, there's enough experience it'll make up the gap. I do think our defense is going to be underrated down the stretch and helping us out in some of these games where eventually people are going to challenge us. People are going to find out where our tendencies are. I mean, at the end of the day, our defense is going to have to show up for us. And I think they're already doing some of the things I'd like to see that I know we're going to need later in the season for sure.
I wrote Sunday morning that I said they probably have the best secondary in the country. But again, I'm using probably because I'm just not sure. I need to see more, but you can tell a lot by the cohesiveness that they're playing with, the ball hawking, the confidence, the understanding. Everybody's on the same page. There's depth, there's talent, there's intelligence. Basically everything we said coming into the season. We just have more data on it now, and we can feel even more confident. But you do want to see him against Carson Beck and a talented stable of wide receivers, just to have proof of it. But I think it's his best secondary in the country, and we'll see if it plays out that way.
One of the ways that we're going to see whether it plays out that way or not is with ULM. We've got ULM coming in this next week, and obviously we are going to give you at Inside Texas a full arsenal of information leading up to that game. But there's a couple things that I just wanted to talk about. The first thing is I didn't know much about this school, so I thought I'd do a little bit of research. I knew that Connor likes to do research on his shows because he's a really good host, and he's been holding that over my head. So these are some of the famous alums.
Is that Connor?
That is not Connor. That was the thing. Is, to be fair, I downloaded it thinking it was Connor, hoping it would be like some fun little inside joke.
It's
but
like
no,
Connor Ron Swanson hybrid.
It kind of is. This is unfortunately no. This is Willie Robertson, and he started a duck calling. Let's be honest, empire, and was on a reality TV show. And he's a ULM grad, and I think that's really great. And we've also got Tim Brando. I thought this might elicit some.
I thought he went to Texas Tech the way he calls those games.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's the bias sometimes that we feel that Tim Brando may exhibit in his calls, but that's fair. That's fair. Any other strong feelings about Tim Brando? No. Okay. And lastly, we've got Doug Penderson. He's a professional football coach and head advisor. Peterson. Okay, here's a question for you. Don't shake your head at me because I'm about to challenge you on something. Here we go. Are you ready? We're going to throw down. All right. Louisiana is from a town, Monroe. How would you pronounce that town?
Mon-Row.
Okay. Drew?
Mon-Row.
Don't be scared, Ian. It's okay. You can tell.
I would say Mon-Row.
That's the question we were getting at. Okay, good. So we're at 50% here. It's all right. It's a soft vowel. We're going to go with Mon-Row, not Mon-Row, but that's okay. These are places. Oh yeah. All right.
So just like how you normally pronounce the name. I thought it was a trick question. How do you say James Monroe's name, the ex-president? Not Monroe. Of course, it's Monroe.
It's Monroe. It's not Monroe. So why do we say it in the name of this town? Oh, Monroe. Wow. All right. We're breaking all kinds of ground here.
Losing viewers left and right.
Oh, really? That's okay. Wow. All right. Is there anything that you would like to contribute to this outside of your outstanding analysis and glowing personality? Thanks for bringing it. Oh, okay.
I can't believe there's only 3 from ULM.
Well, to be fair, so there's another great statistic that I came across today. ULM has won the national championship in water skiing 29 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Take that in, guys. It's a lot we got going on here. Okay. See, look, we're bringing the people together. David Keith Williams is telling us that he had a girlfriend from Monroe, Louisiana. This is all great. Really, really good quality products here. Okay.
I bet he was a good cook.
Who do you think was a good cook?
The girlfriend he had.
Not good enough.
Wow.
Not good.
Whoa. Okay.
How would you know that, Ian?
Yeah. What are we going on here?
People cook well in Louisiana. That's what people say.
Okay. Well, as we are moving toward the 40-minute mark, we wanted to thank everybody. Go ahead and get your questions in if you've got them, but we are driving toward the end. So this is the schedule we've got coming up. Tomorrow morning, you can get the live. You're going to have Connor, and I'll just put a picture of Connor up here just so you guys can see him. So that's Connor and Paul are going to be on tomorrow. Then, of course, we've got all of our normal information, we've got another live in the evening on Wednesday night. Is there anything you'd like? What are you looking at? Why are you smiling like that, Ian? I don't trust you.
I've just been validated in the comments. That's all.
So first of all, the good cooks are in South Louisiana. All right, Monroe is way up north.
I don't know where Mon-Row is.
It's way up north. It's
Right.
level with Shreveport. Nobody
Right.
talks about cooking in Shreveport. It's Lafayette, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, of course, way
Thanks,
south.
Eric.
Well, we need David Keith Williams to tell us whether or not she was a good cook or not. The world will wonder until he tells.
Oh man, there it is. Just leave that up permanently.
Okay. Is this something you're gonna get? Do you need another tattoo? I know that you wear a lot of long sleeves on these broadcasts to hide.
Roaster. Don't tell him that, Roaster. You can't tell him that.
You got the Art Bras long sleeves.
You
You
gotta
can't
keep
repeat
everything.
that ever again, Roaster.
It's too much information for everybody. Yeah, that's it, guys. We really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining us. Check in tomorrow. You're gonna have our Connor and our Paul on your live. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe, that little bell that'll let you know whenever we've got new stuff coming out. And we thank you so much for being here.